Most people, when they come to us with the expectation that this IV drip is going to miraculously give them fat loss. Okay? But a lot of people don't have the fundamentals set right. So the fundamentals that we need to talk about is your sleep, is your food and water intake, and is your mobility. Okay? These are the three fundamentals for everybody that we need to discuss. So when it comes to sleep, the basic questions that we ask is your sleep good? Do you dream? To this, most people will generally end up saying, my sleep is good. I sleep for a good 7-8 hours. I wake up also fresh. Generally, if you sleep for a good 7-8 hours and wake up fresh, more often than not, there is no major impact or issue with sleep. But never getting dreams can also mean that your physical body is recovering, but your nervous system, which also needs to sort of de-stress, your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system that need to de-stress, may not be happening. For that, your body really needs to go into a slightly slow wave and REM sleep a little bit more. And generally in those sleep zones, you dream. So NAD fixes that, okay? But if you've come to us for fat loss, let's talk about fat loss, because first, the focus is realigning your base of the pyramid. After understanding sleep, the next thing is your intake. Are you drinking at least 3 to 4 liters of water a day? And are you having enough amount of protein and fiber in your diet? In terms of protein intake, we need a bare minimum of 1 gram per kg of ideal body weight. Okay, so if you want to reach 75 kilos from 95 kilos, you need to eat at least 75 grams of protein, bare minimum. How do we know how much we're eating? Track it, measure it, raw form, or if you're ordering from outside, understand the intakes. Protein intake along with fiber intake should be the first part of the meal. And the second part can be your fats, and then eventually can be your carbohydrates. Loading your meal this way prevents blood sugar spikes, which is also something that needs to be understood when you're talking about this meal aspect of the pyramid. So blood sugar spikes are caused because of high GI index glycemic foods. It can be fruits, it can be simple carbs. Those are two things to avoid eating as a snack. Only and only eat them at the end of a meal if you have space to eat more after consuming your fiber and protein intake. Okay. Along with this, we realign on the calorie deficit part. If you start eating enough amount of protein and fiber throughout the day, we try to maintain it in a 10 to 11 hour eating window and have a longer fasting window after that. So from morning 9 o'clock to evening 7 o'clock should be your eating window, then 7 to 9 throughout should be your fasting window. In between these windows, if you feel hungry, you eat your nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, a little bit of chas, a protein bar, something like that. No carbs and nothing that will cause a blood sugar spike. To ensure that a good enough amount of micronutrients and antioxidants are also there, we will guide you to have a glass of water in the morning with a few powders, natural powders, moringa, cinnamon, haldi, all of these 7-8 powders, we send them across on the guideline, the lifestyle guideline that we send. So we've understood your water intake, we've understood your protein requirement, we've understood how to prevent blood sugar spikes, we've understood how to even give a little bit of micronutrition throughout the day and have a eating window. Okay, this is a basic. How much ever it is possible to do for some individuals, you must try to align as much as possible to it. Then the last thing is mobility. If you're someone who loves strength training and is doing heavy workouts, strength training going hand in hand for fat loss, for your body to also push and burn fat, the diets don't align always. If your body structure is different, if you've been doing it for a lot of time and the amount of weight you need to lose is very less, then okay, we can factor it in even with that. Then the focus becomes inch loss, not just weight loss. But if you've just gone and started strength training to lose 10-20 kilos, then let's take a step back. First, let's focus on zone 2 cardio exercises only, along with core engagement, which is dead bugs. So zone 2 cardio, what we recommend is brisk walking on an incline. Start slow, start flat. At some point, you need to bring it in. If there is a knee issue or a leg issue, an incline walk is not allowed. Generally, incline walk is less stressful for your knees than normal walk. But if there's a foot issue and you can't really walk on an incline or there is some impact, then you have to focus a little bit more on time. So for normal individuals, brisk walking on an incline, we start off with 30 to 45 minutes, build themselves up to 60 to 75 minutes. For individuals who are not able to do it on an incline, in the initial part, do it for a little bit longer. If you're doing 30 minutes anyway, push to 45, 50, and then beyond that to at least 90 minutes in one go is the catchphrase. You have to make this happen in one go. If not, splitting it in 2 times is not having impact on your metabolism. Now, when we look at these 3 things, the sleep, the eating, and the mobility, your body on its own will start moving towards weight loss. inch loss specifically so. When we look at these three things together, you're already in a place to start losing weight on your own. But sometimes what holds us back is thyroid dysfunction and insulin resistance. These two things need to be parallelly monitored. Most people do regularly check their thyroid levels now, but some people only check it once in a couple of years. So if you have been in a place where you have a family history of thyroid, you must be checking it every 6 to 9 months. Okay. Along with that, insulin resistance is often the test that is missed. So most people say that, hey, when I do this diet, I lose a little bit of weight. When I do a little bit of strict walking and some exercises, I lose a little bit of weight. But then the minute I stop, it comes back. If it comes back and your base is the issue, then it could be coming back because of the base. But sometimes, if your base is all right, you've done the mobility, you're doing all of these things, and 1-2 things start faltering and it very instantly starts coming back, then it's generally insulin resistance as well. Could be also a thyroid plus insulin resistance, could be just a thyroid, could be just an insulin resistance. So the second step that we need to talk and understand is how do you fix insulin resistance? If a large amount of insulin resistance is there, we have Mounjaro to help. Microdosing can help break insulin resistance. If there is a large amount of insulin resistance, then we will need to do beyond microdoses into slightly higher dosages over time. But we will understand that from the insulin resistance. If thyroid is an issue, then nothing else is going to work. Your walking is not going to work, your diet is not going to work, your exercise is not going to work. Thyroid needs to be fixed first. So if thyroid is normal, great, we can look at microdosing on Mounjaro. If thyroid is not normal and insulin resistance is there, first fix thyroid. We don't yet start you on with anything, even the IV drip we will not start. Get your base right for 1-2 months. Get your thyroid medication sorted for 1-2 months. Come to us after 5 to 6 weeks. Repeat the test after 6 weeks of making all the changes. And then we're ready to get started on really pushing your body into a metabolic reset. Now this metabolic reset, if you're not insulin resistant and if you have no thyroid issue, and doesn't matter what your BMI is, you can still just do the normal IV drip, get this base of the pyramid right. With the normal IV drip, we accelerate your weight loss. Without the IV, with just the base right, most people end up losing somewhere in the range of 500 grams to a couple of kilos in a month. With the IV, we can push to about 2 kilos is almost bare minimum. Mostly we end up losing 3 to 5 kilos. It all depends on how much effort you're putting into that base. If your efforts are on point and you're doing everything right, you'll see a better result. If you're faltering a few weeks, some weeks are going right, the result will be muted. Everybody starts off with the first 5 sessions, which is once a week for 5 weeks. Get the base right during these 5 weeks. Let's understand how much of what you're being able to do and how efficiently the drip is working for you. But this drip, the drip only protocol, is an enhancer, it's a multiplier. If you multiply it with 0 efforts, the output is going to be 0. If we find that there is a high enough amount of insulin resistance, we will start off with a microdose of Mounjaro. The only pre-qualifications you need to start and do Mounjaro is to ensure that there is no family history of thyroid cancer. And we will, even if there is no family history, we will repeat a couple of cancer markers today to ensure that there is no cancer lingering related to that specific thyroid implication today. That combined with insulin resistance gives the green light to go ahead with Mounjaro, whether it's a microdose protocol or whether it's a larger fat loss max protocol. A lot of people might find that insulin resistance, if it's not too high, the microdose protocol is enough. So by default, anyone and everyone who starts with Mounjaro always starts with 1.25 twice a week, not 2.5 mg once a week. Okay. Next week, we evaluate. How did you feel with the 1.25? Did you have any impact? Was it 0 impact? Was there appetite control? Was it just for 1-2 days? Did it last for 3-4 days till you took the next shot and then beyond? This feedback after every week when we take, we will be able to then properly indicate a long-term protocol beyond 5 weeks. Okay. For 5 weeks, it will be a twice a week shot, 1.25 twice a week. Towards the end, if 1.25, if the insulin resistance is slightly on the higher side, that 1.25 might just work for the first week, the second week it will not work. So by default in the second week, we switch into a 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. But if 1.25 works very well, some people it might, some people it might not. If it works very well, we just do 1.25 twice a week for that full month. No questions asked. Whether it's giving a result, not giving a result. As long as appetite suppression is there, the protocol is 1.25 twice a week. The issue of suppressing appetite too much, which generally most other doctors do, they start you off with 2.5 once a week for 1 month, then they take you to 5, then they take you to 7.5, then they take you to 10. What happens in this kind of a protocol, which normal doctors generally tell, is that the main focus becomes your appetite suppression. So you're not eating, that's why you're losing weight. We don't want to just make you not eat and lose muscle mass, because that weight loss, predominantly a large amount of it ends up being muscle mass. We need you to be able to control your appetite and cravings, which microdosing will also help. And microdosing secondly helps with resetting a lot of other parameters in your body. Mounjaro is a very misunderstood compound. It is not only and only for weight loss and diabetes. Microdosing on it, there's implications for heart health, for lung health, for kidney health, artery health. There's a lot of other applications. In this case though, we're using it mainly to break the insulin resistance and to improve other body functions that are supportive of it. So microdosing, even if we have to take you to a 5 mg in the next month, we will do 2.5 twice a week instead of doing 5 mg once a week. Even if you have to take you to 7.5 in the month after that, we will do 2.5 thrice a week instead of. So we don't burn out your receptors. If we burn out your receptors, what inadvertently happens is that 7.5 mg after 3 weeks will not work. You will have to go to 10, then you will have to go to 12. This is the system developed by the pharma guys because they want to sell more and more. But we want to take you on Mounjaro, take the support if you have insulin resistance to break it with micro doses, so that at some point of time you can safely stop and transition on to just the IV drip protocol. So insulin resistance combined with how much weight loss needs to be done will define how many sessions are needed. Generally, whether you need Mounjaro or whether you need just the IV drip, we start off with a one month, 4 to 5 week protocol where we do 4-5 sessions of IV, or if you're doing Mounjaro, we do a micro Mounjaro protocol of 8 odd shots along with the 4-5 sessions of IV. This is sort of like a trial. We will understand from this how much inch loss you're getting, how much weight loss you're getting. If weight loss is too much and there is no inch loss, something is wrong. Our focus needs to always and always prioritize inch loss. Weight loss will follow on its own. Okay. So we need to re-understand the concept of weight. Weight is something that you can check on your scale. It's going up, okay, it's going down, okay. But what we need to break down is body composition. So step 1 of body composition is BMI. Okay. If you're in a certain range of BMI, you're not ideal body weight. Okay. But that doesn't tell us much. The deeper step to that is understanding how much of your body weight is fat and how much of your body weight is muscles and bones. If your BMI is very high, but it's because you have a great body, you have a lot of muscle mass, then what we would be recommending to you is very different. You don't need to really go for a fat loss IV drip. But on the other side, generally now we're in a case where fat percentage is very high, and there's 2 types of fat. There's your visceral fat and there's subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat is the fat that's deposited around your organs. That's the part which is stubborn fat. It's very hard to lose. My tummy is not going, my inches are not losing. The subcutaneous fat is the visible fat. Maybe on the cheeks, maybe on the tummy, maybe on the hands and legs, right? So subcutaneous fat is what you can tell. Different people gain fat in different ways. Some people gain at particular points in their body. Some people on the visible side look great, but visceral fat percentage is high. So weight is very high, but you look fit, you know. So we need to understand that. Based on that, we have to tailor the protocols for you. If visceral fat levels are very high, then that mobility routine of zone 2 cardio will last for much longer. If your visceral fat is not that high, it's just subcutaneous fat, then just calorie deficit enough can help you burn that. Because our subcutaneous fat is always being mobilized and moved. Our internal body fat, which is there, visceral fat, may not always be moved. So if the question pops in your head that how many months will it take? How much weight loss will I get? How many sessions do I have to take? Everybody starts off with the first 5, 4 to 5 weeks. Either we microdose on Mounjaro, we combine that with an IV, or we do just IV. Either way, 1 month is your trial to get your base done right. To get your mobility in place, to get your protein intake in place, to get your water and sleep in place. Okay? When this is done right, at the end of the month, we'll sit and evaluate. If you've lost a lot of weight, but you've not lost any inches, that's not good for us. You need to be losing equivalent or more inches than just weight. The lady who came in today, she's done 1 week and she's lost 5 inches, but no weight at all. Now she's not happy, but this is a great result. She's great. She's happy that she's lost inches. But our minds are conditioned to looking at that number on the scale. So we need to leave that number aside for a little bit. When we do the body composition here in the clinic, we will be showing you how much is your visceral fat, how much fat mass is in the body, how much muscle mass is in the body, stuff like that. So when we're running through these protocols, we want to try and preserve that muscle mass as much as possible. At the end of 1 month, if you've lost 5 kilos and 5 inches, in that scenario also you could have lost a great amount of fat. But that 5 kilos may say how much was muscle is something that we have to address. If you've lost a lot more muscle, then something's going off in your protein intake. You're just going into a calorie deficit, but you're not sustaining protein. This kind of a scenario will lead to a point where you will gain back weight again. So we need to be in a place where that body fat percentage is consistently going down. Muscle mass we might lose a little bit, no problem. But in proportion, it should be a small percentage of how much weight is being lost. Along with that, inches are measured. So every time you come in once a week, we will measure the inches. We will do the body composition once a month. And every month we sit and reanalyze what went right, what isn't working yet, how to optimize, what's the next step forward. A lot of people who come in just for I'm doing everything, but that last 2-3 kilos is very hard to lose. Generally, 1 month protocol is good enough for them. They just have to follow the instructions done right. Sometimes these guys who are trying to lose that last 2-3 kilos are very attached to a strength training workout. So then, no problem, continue a strength training workout, but the expectation at the end of the month then should not be in weight, it should be in inches. Because you may not lose any weight, because your body composition will change. You might gain muscle mass, you might lose fat, your weight might not change. In fact, you might gain some muscle and increase weight also, but inches will go down. But for people who are looking to lose the 10, 15, 20 kilos and plus, this is not a concern, because strength training has not yet fully started yet, or may have started, but isn't working. So we reanalyze. Generally, a 1-month protocol is a good place to start off. Let us understand your body, let you understand how the drips and dosages are working for you, and then we decide a protocol forward. Now, if you don't have insulin resistance, and if you don't have any thyroid issue, but BMI is still on the very larger side of things, then what matters is, are you able to control your diet? If you're able to control your diet, just IV drip. If you're not able to control your diet, then let's take the support of microdosing Mounjaro. Even if there is no insulin resistance, we can do microdosing Mounjaro just to sort of help us curb our appetite a little bit. But we want to curb it only enough so that your cravings are controlled and you are in a calorie deficit if it is hard for you to on your own go into a calorie deficit. Okay? Because calorie deficit is key. If you're not in a calorie deficit, weight loss is not going to be sustainable. The IV drip works to burn the fat for you, to prevent the deposit of the fat for you, and also help your body exit the fat out. For these 3 functions, you have the base of the pyramid as well. The mobility helps you burn the fat, the calorie deficit helps you prevent the intake and deposition of fat, and the water intake and exercises combine to help you flush it out as well. Okay? The sleep is just for recovery. The sleep is for hormone resetting. Because if our stress levels are too off, all other hormones that are indicative of your insulin, your ghrelin, your leptin, these are hormones that tell your body when to signal hunger, when to tell it to burn fat. These are also going off. So re-regulating your sleep cycle is important. Okay? Now in sleep, the only thing that we would advise is try to cut off devices within the last hour that you're trying to fall asleep, so that the melatonin secretion starts properly. Other hormones and dopamine and serotonin, other things are not getting triggered by something that you're watching on Instagram, right? So you start getting into that deeper, sounder sleep. If that doesn't happen on your own, even after doing that, we have NAD+, which will work, but that's a separate conversation. The goal, whether we use just the IVs, or we use microdose of Mounjaro, or we do microdose for larger, higher dosages over the long run, the goal is to reset your metabolic profile. It's a proper metabolic reset that you will receive. It can take 1.5 months. It can take 7 to 8 months. Depending on what your weight loss goals are, what your lifestyle looks like, the journey can be as small or as long. But at the end of it, we want to reach a place where at least 70-80% of the goal is achieved with our support. The remaining 20%, then your body is reset. It will be able to do on its own without any drip support. If you do have days or weeks of the month where after achieving your result, you're great, you're not gaining back weight again, you're doing the calorie deficit sustainably, you're doing your workouts, mobility routine, you've fixed your sleep, you don't need any more IV drips. But if you do feel that eventually there are few times in a year or few months of the year that, hey, I'm not being able to do this religiously, come and take that IV drip for the 1, 2, 3 weeks, so that we don't start inching back towards the insulin resistance, or we don't start inching back towards the metabolic dysfunction. Plug and play it as you feel throughout your routine.